The Midtown Redevelopment Board's meeting Tuesday, January 10th. We'll start with a roll call.
Shauna Collins,
Present.
Tangela Hardy,
Present.
Joan Shepherd, Renee Richardson, Kathy Washington,
Present.
Nathan McGullough,
Present.
Davita Barner,
Present.
Lynn Thompson.
Present.
Thank you. We'll have an invocation led by Pastor Magala, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand.
Let us pray. Good and gracious God, we thank you. God, we praise you for your goodness and for your mercy. Thank you, God, for bringing us through the year 2022. Sometimes we were up, sometimes we were down. Through the storms, God, you were right there with us. And God, we praise your name tonight. Thank you, God, for our city. We thank you, dear God, for our community. Thank you, dear God, for the leadership that we have, dear God, in our city, our mayor, our commissioners. Thank you for our city manager, staff. We thank you for this board. That God, as we do the work of our community, God, give us wisdom. Direct us in everything that we do. God, we realize that without you, we can do nothing. But with your God, we can do all things. Bless our chair. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance. Before we get into the heart of the meeting, I want to basically say happy belated Christmas season and New Year's to you all. I'm sure you all have had an enjoyable time. Hopefully a lot of the staff took some vacation. You know, there's a lot, things kind of slow down during Christmas. But I want to welcome you all back. Welcome the audience and the staff members that are going to be presenting tonight. And with that, we'll start with approval of the minutes. I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Chair.
It's moved by Mr. Thompson, second by
Second.
Mr. McCullough. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign, motion carries. Get into staff reports, starting with the police report, Captain Conte.
Good evening, Captain Leo Conde, Daytona Beach Police Department. Thank you for having me. The current report effective from December the 12th until the end of the year, 12/31/2023. The citywide totals.
No, go ahead, I'm sorry.
We had a decrease in homicides from 8 to 7. We had an increase in auto thefts of 69%. We had an increase in overall burglaries of 15%. We had a decrease of 6% in overall larcenies. We had an increase of robberies by 5%. Our aggravated assaults and batteries increased by 12%. And our total reported sexual offenses increased by 159%. Our Part 1 crimes, unfortunately, did rise 6%. And our overall calls for service increased by 6% during this time period.
How do you define, well, I guess I kind of know, but property crimes, this is under Part 1 crimes?
So Part 1 crimes, specifically for property crimes, can range from a few different.
I mean, is it like the cars or houses?
Well, it's
Businesses?
broken up individually on our reports. Burglaries are typically residential or non-residential. So it could be a business, or it can be an apartment, or it can be, a single-family residence. Typically, the car breaks or entries into a vehicle are documented under larceny car break. Then you have shoplifting, you have bicycle thefts, and then overall just petty thefts that get reported throughout the year.
And person crime is what? When
Person crimes involves any person, where an individual is actually the victim of the crime, be it a robbery, be it a sexual offense, a homicide, shooting, anything like that, or even a simple battery or domestic.
Okay. Am I reading this? It went up from 17 to 32 in the last month, or, yeah. roughly?
For which one specifically?
Under person's crime. Which would be on the second page by this,
Yeah.
third page. District 1. Okay, so we're District 1, right? Okay.
Yes, we fall under District 1.
Near the bottom of the page, if you like the same one.
Our persons crimes for this time period, there was an increase of 69%.
Yeah, 17 to 32. Is that because of holidays or something?
Also because it was an extended time reporting period.
Well, actually, am I reading this wrong? It's 88%. What did you say percent change was?
If you look under, not sure if you have the same page as I, but it would be under the fourth page.
Yeah.
You'll see CompStat, and then it'll be broken up to CompStat 22, and the very next one, CompStat 25. Actually, no, I stand corrected. It was an increase of 38% from the previous CompStat period to the current 12/11 to 12/31. So for property crimes, we had an increase of 43, and then persons was 53. A lot of that did have to do with the holidays, the increase in people visiting, not to mention school being out for 2 weeks, unfortunately, did attribute to a lot of our increase in property crimes.
So, you have any questions?
I guess I've always wanted to know, in terms of the numbers in the Midtown area, is there any way that we can be able to know how those numbers look like in the Midtown?
The Midtown area covers more than one specific zone.
Okay.
Typically, how CompStat is computed is individually through the zone, and depending on which zone has the most issues, that'll be determined to be the hot zone or the problematic zone. Currently, right now, 46 zone, which is outside of the Midtown area, is the hot zone. But Midtown encompasses a portion of 41, 42, 43 zone, and even a small piece of 44 zone. So I can email that to you if you like, if that would be a lot easier to digest, but it would be broken up through just about 4 different zones.
Okay.
I'd like to have a copy of that also.
Absolutely.
46 is that where a lot of apartment complexes are located?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
It encompasses everything from Speedway north between Nova Road and I think it is Ventress.
Yeah,
So it encompasses a significant portion all the way up to
Look, there's
Mason Avenue.
yeah, I was gonna look at it
Right.
right here.
Yeah, 46, although geographically may not be the largest zone, it does contain a vast
Well,
number of
It's
apartment complexes.
packed with a lot of people in there.
Yes. But I'll get you the information and I'll send it to you as well, Ms. Washington.
Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Yeah, so LPGA, no, I was gonna say cuts in half north to south. I don't think that's right.
Depending where you are on LPGA, it could be 45 zone.
45, yeah.
That's all I had. I mean, any other questions? Okay, thank you, Captain.
Very welcome. Thank you.
Question.
Yes, ma'am.
Has the police department started CompStat meetings as they did prior to COVID? They would do them at, I think it was like the 4th Thursday in the month.
We actually just discussed this yesterday. The chief is making preparations so that we can start to resume that, so that we can involve the public as well.
Yes.
We need to enact some additional security measures, and then obviously the health concerns that, are still very
Right.
present.
I was one that attended it every month up until it stopped. I got a great deal of information by attending, and I really miss it.
I think it's a very valuable tool for the general public to be aware of what's going on because it educates them as well. They may not necessarily follow everything that's happening on social media or even the news.
Right.
So them being privy to all this information, it would absolutely be vital to everyone's well-being.
Thank you.
Bless you.
Very welcome. Bless you.
Thank you,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Welcome.
Next up, Ms. Kirk, Code Enforcement.
I did not hear that code was not coming, so I'm not sure why Sarah Kirk is not here tonight.
Okay, no problem. We'll move on. Ms. Tolliver, Midtown Projects.
Don't have any projects to report, but I just wanted to remind everyone of the MLK Daytona 2023 events that are happening this year. I included it in the board agenda packet when I mailed it out. And several months back, Mrs. Hardy asked a question about the purple lights that are on MLK, and she hasn't been here, so I've held out on responding, and I was hoping she'd be here tonight. The purple lights, according to our Public Works Director, David Waller, Florida Power and Light is aware of these lights throughout the city of Daytona as well as nationwide. There's something going on with the LED for the street lights. Because of the hurricane, replacing these lights are not a priority. They're still responding to hurricane issues, and Florida Power and Light will replace the fixtures as soon as possible. The Public Works Director didn't have a schedule for me. He just made me aware that these fixtures are not supposed to be doing this. And it's not just the city of Daytona, it's other cities as well where they have the LED streetlights. And one other item is, believe it was last week, the city obtained a property on the corner of Dr. Bethune and Keach, and that was obtained through a foreclosure. So now it's in our Midtown CRA as a vacant lot that the city can decide what to do with. But it's right on that corner that's immediately west of Pine Haven. Pine Haven is right on the corner of Keach and Dr. Bethune, and it's the west side of Keach Street. Right now, there are some boats parked there.
I was about to say the north side or the south side.
North.
It's the
north
north
side of the
side.
street.
Yeah,
Okay.
the north side.
Got about 5 boats parked on there now, and we're gonna remove them. We don't know who owns them, but we're gonna get rid of them. And actually, what we're gonna do is clean that vacant lot out. And the idea is probably, since it's at an intersection, multifamily or some retail of use would probably be best suit for that. Not necessarily a single family home, but maybe multifamily. We can get away with multifamily or some retail.
Stacked or something like that? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Although the adjacent property would probably be,
Conflict.
no, it would probably give us more depth
Okay.
to do some work.
Originally,
Church on the
it
next
was
side
a
of
single,
that, right?
originally it was a single family home.
Yeah, long time ago.
But we need to clean that,
Yeah, long time ago.
we need to clean that corner up because
Yes.
it's terrible.
I agree.
Yep. And to add to some of the things that Michelle and I have been working on is there's been quite a bit of our technical review team meetings. We've had someone to come in at the intersection of ISB and I think that's Carolina. It's a vacant lot in there between the pizza place and the Army Navy store. There's been some, we had a TRT meeting on that. Someone wanted to do, at that time, it was a gas station, restaurant, and some other uses. And today, and this is all preliminary, nothing set in stone, the Marathon gas station came in today with the discussion about redoing that Marathon gas station that's on the, south side of ISB.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Any questions, comments? All right, we'll move on into Spotlight on Midtown. First up is Mr. Curtis Vreen from Vreen Catering, not here.
Unfortunately, Mr. Chairman, I sent you a text.
I apologize. Okay.
He's not even here.
That'll be here, okay. Well, okay, that's fine. I know we've got the second presenter here tonight. Yep. Mr. Rufus Johnson from Geico Insurance. Have to offer, just, I guess, some words. I know this young man, so don't take it personally if I kind of get hard on him tonight. So you're all Mr.
Now you know he's my frat brother now. So he's a member of my church. That's so you need to be kind to him.
Good evening, and thank you, Pierre, for the invitation to speak before the board. Thank you for that opportunity. My name is Rufus Johnson. I'm the agency owner of Geico, the Geico local office, Johnson Agency, Inc. We are located in the heart of Midtown, which is 921 West International Speedway Boulevard. We also have a satellite location in Almond Beach inside Teddy Moore's Harley-Davidson dealership, formerly Bruce Rossmeyer. We specialize in personal lines of insurance, whether it's your auto, your home, motorcycles, condo, renters, RVs, ATVs, flood insurance is what we specialize in. I have a staff of 7, down from 13 since COVID hit, so hopefully we'll get back up there once business increase. I have been in business for 22 years. May of this year will be 23. Actively involved in the community. Some of the things I sit on, I'm currently the vice chairman of the Daytona State Foundation Board. I'm the vice co-chairman of the Volusia County African American Leadership Council, VCAP. I'm an executive board member for the Daytona Regional Chamber of Commerce and the executive board committee member for the Checkered Flag Committee. Past chairman of the Volusia Flagler Family YMCA and past chairman of the Division of Blind Services. Try to stay active in the community and also an active member of Allen Chapel AME Church and also the great fraternity or Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated.
Excuse me, I didn't hear that. And speak a little loud. I couldn't hear that well.
Well, I don't want to. Hey, Mr. Thompson there.
Everybody make mistakes.
Everybody make mistakes, absolutely. My little brother. I moved my location into the Midtown location in May of 2019. I did that for visibility and branding of the office, which is an exceptional location.
Yeah.
I think one of the things I also tried to do was try to help beautify or enhance that corridor between Nova Road and Ridgewood. I did receive assistance from the city for being in that location, the painting of the building, and also the signage, which was a great help for me. Any specific questions? I'm not familiar with how the board works or how this process works, so that's a little bit about my company and myself.
Well, basically how it works is that you have to make a contribution to
To your foundation.
Just for the record, that was said in jest.
Totally
For those of you who are reading
Totally.
minutes of the meeting only and not able to tell by tone and laughter that was in jest.
Yes. But no, it's like a free-for-all. One of the things I would like to get into is, are you an original 386er or are you from outside of this area?
Outside of, I'm originally a country boy from Mississippi, born and raised, but my wife was born and raised and birthed out of Halifax, so
Okay,
absolutely.
I got you. Now, how long since you moved here?
I moved here in 1997.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, so I've been here a while. Absolutely.
I predate you, but that's all right.
Yes.
You know, I got a
I'm sorry, go ahead.
the building that you currently operate out of has some history to it. It used to be the home of, I think it was called Commercial Finance, and that place for a long time was one of the only hopes for a lot of businessmen who operated businesses in Midtown when the banks would not give them loans.
That's right.
Oh, wow.
Commercial finance was one of the only places would give them loans, albeit with high interest rates. It was still one of the only places that Charles Cherry, Herbert Thompson, and other businesses, people who were in the West Side Business and Professional Association could go and get loans from.
Okay, I didn't know that. Great history. Absolutely.
It is.
As a business owner in that area, what could I do to help improve that area?
Well, I think by coming here tonight is definitely important. And I know how active you are in the community. And folk kind of, if they trust you, they'll spend their money with you as well.
Absolutely.
And so what you're doing now, and one of the things we've been discussing for a minute, not too long, not except for the new staff, is how we can use this board as a conduit to the community, because
Absolutely.
like I've always told the commissioners who are willing to listen, it's better to get more, I guess, buy-in at the start with whatever you're proposing by involving the community, letting them in on what's going on. And so, not that we're taking anything away from the commissioners for doing their job getting in the community, but any assistance that they can get vis-a-vis these types of board is excellent. And that's one of the reasons we started this item on the agenda. This up until what we did it in 1990, I guess. No, 1990, 2020. Yeah. Because that's when I came aboard. But yeah, so not had nothing to do with that. But I'm just saying, I know it goes back to 2020, and we were doing this for a sole purpose that there are a lot of good things going on in Midtown. It's not just blight, even though we've got enough of it to cover the rest of the area in Daytona Beach, but that still pales in comparison to all the treasures we have in Midtown. And so we're trying to do our best to let folk know, like the Rufus Johnsons in the world, that we provide those same kind of services in Midtown that you can get outside of Midtown, and they're right there. And I'm not ashamed to say this. Back when we couldn't get access to the insurance and the grocery stores I guess, 1970s and stuff, we had no choice but to kind of let our money circulate in the community 3 or 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Now, people don't understand is it's not even like it only circulates once. It circulates within a day outside of the community. And that's just true. So anytime we can bring in yourself and people like yourself, which is what we're trying to do, to let the community know that there are some business owners in Midtown that you can show your patronage to.
Yeah. What percentage of your business maybe comes from Midtown residents?
Since I moved in that location quite a bit, that's quite a bit of walk-ins and that stuff. Just being that visibility of being in Midtown has increased my business.
I'd just like to introduce myself to Mr. Johnson.
I know the name, but I've just
I know
just on the
you
face.
do.
Yes.
Unfortunately, back in March, I totaled my car, and my insurance is with Mr. Johnson. And I think I either spoke with him every day or his wife. Well, I speak with his wife every day regardless. But I think I spoke with you until
Yes,
I
you
got
did.
it settled. And
Right.
I am pleased. It's nice to meet you.
Thank you. Pleasure as well.
What are the marketing strategies that you have for the community, other than where the building is located? Is there anything that you're doing to get the word out?
Yeah, I do quite a lot. I run a lot of newspaper ads. I have billboards ads. I involved with the chamber, a couple of networking groups that I'm in, and just out marketing business. I also have a marketing representative go around to car dealerships, apartment complexes to generate business as well.
Oh, yes. Yep. Coming up to the mic.
Hey.
And Ruby, 137 Park Avenue, for the record. I just have a couple of questions. Are you the only Geico brokerage in town?
I'm the only Geico agency in Volusia Flagler County, which is
Okay.
my territory.
Okay. And how has your business been affected by is Geico still writing homeowners insurance?
Yeah, we do not write it on Geico's paper. We write it through a company called Homesite, which we do write. The only caveat, well, I wouldn't say caveat, but the only underwriting guidelines is that your house has to be 2002 or newer.
Okay.
See?
Good information.
Really? Well, thank you for coming out.
Not a problem. Thanks for the invitation. Thank you.
My pleasure, and so is the board and staff. Get into no old business. I guess the new business tonight is an item that I asked staff to put on the agenda for the purposes of, ideally, we want to do what I'm proposing to do sometime in, October, November time span, at the latest in December. And that is just to plan the board schedule, including what staff has on the back burner, and just let us talk about that at the beginning, I guess. So we'll have a set I guess, agenda, so to speak. Pretty much, if not every month, every other month. And things that I'm thinking about is, the fact that, I guess nominations, we do nominations every year.
Yes.
We need to know when that is and have a set time to do it. When is our calendar in line as far as our beginning fiscal year with the city, which is October 1?
Yes.
Okay. So, okay,
Yes, it
so
is.
what that means is that instead of electing nominations and people to sit on these boards in January, which is 3 months after the beginning of the fiscal year for the city, it needs to be in line with the timeline with the city commission,
Mr. Chair,
Yes.
typically it's in line with the last election, and I think the current
In
serving.
November.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, so we're late doing it, but you're correct, yes. It
So
was
instead of October, we should be looking at November? as
correct,
the
we're
first-
late, yes.
Okay.
Because the two positions now
Mm-hmm.
are a year and 3 months into
Okay.
we need to elect, the board itself needs to vote on it. It's not on the agenda this month,
Mm-hmm.
and for the public's interest, we can add it to February's agenda.
Okay.
But I understand what you're saying. You're talking about events for the board.
Yes, yes. And so another thing I'm thinking about is the fact that the city does adopt a budget every year. And part of that budget is funding for and within Midtown. And as I've said before, I guess ears are getting nervous. And I've said this from day one, that any involvement we have with, things that become action items, if you will, on the commission's agenda, we're just offering our recommendation, our opinion. It carries no weight, and I wouldn't want it to. Not in the sense that they've got to listen to us and they've got to take that. It's not going to happen. Now, unless you can show me in the statutes where that's a requirement, which I know it isn't. It's advise and consent at best, and not in the Senate version of it, but that's all it is. And so that was the purpose of, looking to get involved with the budget. And since we're talking about an October 1 through September 30th budget, whenever you all get hot and heavy, I guess you all have first readings when is that, Mr. Gross, for the budget? From September 30th, when is that?
I don't have exact dates, but I think the first reading is usually in August.
Yeah. So that means it's pretty much finished, which means I would think when y'all, I guess, Mr. Thompson, when you getting requests for what your budget estimates are, wish list, when is that usually? January?
No, a little later. I would say April, May,
Okay.
somewhere around that time. But that's just getting your budget ready. That's not anything set in stone. It's going to be a little later than that when we submit it to the city manager, and it was, somewhere around May or sometime. Because I can remember when I got here in May. Yep.
And it's those kind of items that I would like to, somehow get involved in, for the simple reason that we have, I guess, ideas on what should be moved up the list, so to speak, in the strategic plan and the master plan. And I know it's not. There's some very kind of generic kind of language as far as projects like I just say something to the effect we want to have a commercial development in this area here, and there's no specific project, just kind of has recommendations on how a particular area should be developed. But what I'm looking for is, and like we talked about this before, when you have some grant funds or whatever, that's kind of, you don't have an idea specifically how you'd like those funds to be, I guess, divvied up. We may have some ideas, whatever. But it's those kind of things that I'm looking for as far as getting involved in the budget. Now, does anyone else has any recommendations on the kind of things we should be planning for every year, or just talking about every year, that we can put on our calendar of events? And if for no other reason, to let the public know what we're proposing to do at a certain time during the year.
I think the question, let me ask the question another way. Is there anything that this board could do with staff to maybe add some impact, to work in cohesion with us, to add some leverage to some of the plans and maybe some of the dreams and aspirations that you may have to do some things in Midtown.
Yeah. Mr. Chairman and Board Member Thompson, I'm glad you all bringing this up. And I mean, it's an excellent point. Because we shouldn't wait until June, July to start talking about a budget. We should be talking about it now. Because there are things now that you may think of you want to do. We may have the resources to do them now. But there are some projects that we do need to look long-term. We may not have the money for it right now, but if we budget for it for the following year, we can be able to get it done. So just for instance, let me bring it home here. Just for instance, we have a company right now that is helping staff to identify a hotel site in Midtown. All right? So, but in order to make that happen, we had to enter into a contract. And so we've entered into a contract for them to go out. I've identified some locations, and they're going out, pursuing that on our behalf. Those are, and it's consistent with your redevelopment plan. So it's nothing that you need to do other than us as staff just keeping you up abreast of what's happening. Right. And that was going to be one of my comments I made at the end there. There are so many things that we're working on. We want to share it publicly, but we don't have any. It's not cooked yet. Right. We're trying to get there, but it's items that you all have already discussed. So it's not like we're working on our own. Right. It's things that you all have already talked about and said you want to see happen, but there's a process of making it happen, and we're just working the process. Okay. And so, for instance, the hotel site, when we get a little bit more baked, we're going to come and talk about where we are with this. And in addition to, we had some concerns from some of the business owners on Dr. King Boulevard about power lines, the power lines. Right. Well, what are we going to do about the power lines? If you want to bring those power lines underground, it's going to cost some money. So those are things we need to budget for. Now, those are big ticket items we need to budget for. But there's another concern about speeding. There are things that we could probably do interim to slow down the speed on Dr. King Boulevard. So yes, let's talk about it now. Give us the direction of here's our wish list, and prioritize that wish list. There are things that we can do this year. There are things that we're going to have to push down the road, and probably to next year or whenever we can budget for it. So yes, this is the time to start talking about what you want.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. You helped me focus a little bit more, because it made me reflect back on some of the discussions we've had on this board about. And I just have to, I go back to my background. Where I used to work, our whole agenda for the year was based on a needs plan and how we were moving toward accomplishing the needs plan. And there were several steps even before you got to the review and approval of item 9, item 7, whatever, on that needs plan. And that's basically, you have to prioritize stuff. And I had envisioned this group being, again, the conduit for what's going on in Midtown. Whether we may have 30 projects on that list, and we may be working on project number 1 for 3 years, but at least every step along the way, folk will know how we're matching that list and how we're moving along, so that, because one of the things I complained about that brought this about was, I remember one, it wasn't the public works director, but it was someone representing them, came in and told us about the benches that they were going to be constructing on Mary McLeod Bethune. And it was during that same time we were discussing trying to put some money together for training for people to get into IT and fiber optics and stuff. And the estimate that we had gotten to start that whole project was like, oh, what was it, Pierre? It was like $300,000. $300,000. That was the cost to do this. And guess how much the cost for the benches that nobody wanted on Mary McLeod Bethune was? I said, you can't make this up. It was $300,000. It was exactly $300,000. That was the budget to bring this new training in. And we were going to prorate that over 5 years, $60,000 a year. I was like, wow, it's kind of embarrassing. We're finding out about this project that this board had never been told about, even when it was a concept in someone's head. The next thing this board hears about it is that they're about to hire the people to build the benches on there. So forget about planning and getting the money and stuff. They had already gone through design. So that was the reason, excuse me? Yeah.
Any kind of public neighborhood meeting.
Yeah, but it should have come to this board here. That's all we're saying. I get you. I'm not going to go back on. But the purpose of this board right here was to be that additional level of input. And so it was just interesting, again, that you brought up the budget, the specific project types and stuff. And that's another thing. We have a list of projects that are in the needs plan for Midtown right now. And I would like to have that like an annual presentation, where we may prioritize the projects differently in 1 year than we did the year before, but you're limited to do that if the project itself is already at a design phase, for example. It's too late now to bring it back and it's too late, too much money has been spent. And so those kinds of annual discussions is what I was looking for as far as our calendar events, because the staff does a lot of stuff, at least this round of staff. And I'm not throwing shade, but just being honest. This staff has been really busy. And Ken is being nice to say that there's a whole bunch of things in the pipeline. There's a bunch of things that they've been doing that I just happen to have not anybody from staff. I just heard from her. They're busy, and so busy. I'm going to say this for last, but don't y'all have some new staff members you're going to introduce tonight or something of that effect? So we'll go ahead and do that now if you want to.
Well, we hired just last month Angela Armstrong, who has she's our new program manager, project manager. But her main and she is agreed in hotel management, and her main focus is right now is going to be beachside. And she's helping out a little bit with the downtown because we're going to hire a project manager for the downtown CRA as well. Okay. But Angela Armstrong will be mainly focusing on the beach side.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Tell us about yourself.
I was going to get to that. Okay. I said, if you think you're going to sit there after that introduction, ask Miss Tolliver what happened to her when she came on board. So yes, we need you down here at the microphone. So we're gonna get you fired up real early. So you're going to have to tell us about yourself, the whole nine, your social security number, all that stuff.
Okay. Well, thank you. Very nice to meet you all. As Ken said, I've been here for a month. I'm going to focus on the beach side. I'm from Dominican Republic. I have a degree in hotel management and a minor in marketing. I used to work for the city of Leesburg for 5 years doing CRA.
Okay.
Well.
So did Mr. Thomas pull, did he do any violations to go back and pull from his ex-employer? What's up with that?
Not at all.
So you all have known each other before?
Yes.
That's great.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yes, we've been working together for 5 years.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. So that was my first job in the United States.
Oh.
Yes, and this is my second job.
This will probably be your last one.
Yes, I hope.
You're not going anywhere.
Yeah, and I'm eager to work with you guys. And right now I'm putting my hands on everything, just to get a feeling of what the city is doing, how it works. So if you have any questions, please just let me know. Okay.
Questions,
Welcome.
President?
Thank you.
Thank you. Welcome aboard again. All right, I think we have a gist of what I was looking for, and hopefully everybody else, as far as this calendar events. And I guess we can sit down one-on-one and kind of try to iron this out, and because I'd like to bring something back to the board next month, if that's possible, as far as what a template would look like, something of that sort. Okay? We're up to public comments. We got any? Doesn't look like it.
Ms. Ruby?
Oh, yeah. Come on up.
How is information, the projects that you guys are working on, disseminated out to the business community in Midtown, or is it just private information?
We have no structure right now, but I'll turn it over to staff, because that's one of the things we definitely like to get
This
some progress
board
on.
meeting is a venue for information. There is a second, what's today, Tuesday? Second Tuesday of each month, I'll even hand you a calendar. But our mechanism right now is to fill these seats. The chairman has said from day one that we hope to fill this room, but I just want to hand you this here. I'm handing him the schedule for the remainder of the year. The only way most of the businesses know what Midtown Redevelopment Board or even CRA is to get the information here. We have a website, but the website it's relatively user-friendly, but the dialogue and interaction right here, to me, is the start. But we don't have a mechanism. We don't have a newsletter. We don't have an app. We don't have any marketing that we're focusing on because we're hitting the ground running. Mr. Thomas is about 7 or 8 months into the job. I'm about a year and some months into the job. Angela just mentioned that she's a year into it. We're a staff that's hitting the ground running, but we're limited in terms of what we can do. But to me, this board and people attending, you don't have to sit in the chamber to hear this meeting or to see it. It's accessed on our website as well. But to me, this is one of the most powerful ways of getting information out to the community and the community coming here sharing information.
And Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir. Go ahead. Then Ms. Ruby.
although we don't necessarily have a link right now, but I can tell you our downtown, our downtown development authority, we pay a marketing firm to have a database of all businesses on Beach Street. Although Beach Street is smaller, but every business that is in business that we know of, if we want to get some information out to them, we could through the database that this marketing firm that we pay every year to provide this service to us. Okay. Midtown and some of our other CRAs may be a little different, but it doesn't mean that we couldn't start out small. Maybe we just do Dr. King Boulevard, or maybe we just do Dr. Bethune's Boulevard and have a database of all the businesses. We could start that way, and pay just like we do with DDA, just pay a firm to keep that data updated. So the good thing about it is, if we want to do a survey of the businesses downtown, I just contact that marketing firm and he does a Survey Monkey, and we get that information instantly. If there is something that we want to know or deliver to the businesses on Beach Street, we can get that information. But that's a very good point. That's something that we need to build.
That's something that we need to start immediately.
Well, amen on that, because you heard me mention the West Side. Back in the day, they had that synergy, and I think that if we were to maybe enact that, that would immediately make the business owners in Midtown feel a part of something that is vibrant and certainly moving forward, and entice them to be actively involved, and to show them that time is different now, and that there's something going on that is totally different, and they want to be a part of this.
And I know for a fact the West Side Business and Professional Association was the lifeline for communication in Midtown or in the west side of town we were back then. And my grandfather was a part
Sure
of
was.
your dad. I remember it. That was how everybody was made aware of what was going on in the city through that small group of men and that had held businesses on Mary McLeod Bethune, then Second Avenue.
Yeah,
I'm so glad you mentioned that.
That's, yeah.
I think that would be an excellent idea as a start.
Okay, yeah.
it's funny you all mentioned, it sounds like a GIS kind of database, so to speak. And I bring it up for a specific reason. That's actually one of the items in the master plan. And it according to the master plan, I remember this, it was supposed to be implemented between 2012 and 2015, I think it was. No, 2002 and 2015, I think it was. And it was, again, one of those kind of needs plan items that we talked about, literally,
I worked on that master plan.
So
Yes,
it was in there, and it was basically it was supposed to be a database, GIS database, to identify where Geico Insurance is, and you click on that button on the map, and all the information, Mr. Rufus Johnson's telephone number, email address, all that comes up. The trick to that, however, is to have a place where people will know to go.
Right.
I'm glad Pierre's in there. He's always here, which is good. He's basically the Facebook manager for Midtown Action. Is it Midtown Action Group? Right. And so we talked about, well, that's one of the ways. Got to find a way to be able to put your business on in his thing, and not cost any money or whatever. But if there is a cost, you pay 20 cents or whatever it is and stuff. But that's what we're talking about. There's a lot of good ideas in this master plan and strategic plan. We just need to let folk know we know what it is, and we're working on project 5 now. We've been discussing that project. Because once folk know that we're in tune and there's different ways to find information, it's all about data, folk, Once they realize that, then it'll be moving constantly. But see, we got some questions, some comments.
Mr. Chair, it sounds like to me, we need to have a meeting exclusively just to talk about the needs or our priorities, and that's the only thing on the agenda, so that we could, accomplish something.
I don't know if we got anything pressing for February that we can't make the whole February meeting be about that. But it's up. I don't see anything that's pressing that can't be pushed until March, unless you all have something that needs to be taken care of in
nominations
February.
for the chair and vice chair. That's it. We don't have any, and if we have any upcoming items that we need action on, you'll be notified. But at this point, I'm not aware, and we don't have anything planned for January.
February.
February, just like this meeting. This meeting doesn't have any action items that require a vote. And we're not aware of February meeting having an item that requires a vote.
Okay. I can't make the motion, but that's something if we want to talk about and get to the meat of the matter, which is, I think, the reason why we're here, which is to help projects move along. I accept the motion to have next month's agenda to be discussion of the needs plan for Midtown.
Month of February.
For the month of February.
So move.
It's been moved. Is there a second?
Second, I second.
Any discussion? There being none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, like sign. Motion carries. So that will be the item on next month's agenda. We'll also include the spotlight, if that's okay, and because I want to give at least 2 businesses an opportunity to come here, and this will be a kind of a low-key way of motivating them to come to the meeting if they know they're on the agenda. So other than approval of these minutes and the Midtown, the spotlight on Midtown, the only item will be on next month's agenda will be the discussion of the needs plan.
Mr. Chair, you don't want the nomination as an item?
Oh, okay, so that's required. Yeah, okay. And that'll be the first three things, I guess, on the agenda. So nomination of officers, the Midtown, spotlight on Midtown, and then approval of the minutes. That'll be it.
So that'll be one action item, right? Technically?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I've got two public comments. We'll start with Ms. Ruby.
Hi, Ann Ruby, 137 Park Avenue. The idea of a Midtown database of businesses sounds wonderful. Could you maybe bring back cost? Like, could that be added on to the task of the downtown same company so that we could get kind of a sense of what that would cost? I think that would be a good bit of information. Thank you. It is hard to keep up with what's going on. The city has put out a new app. I don't know if you're aware of it. It's called DB City Connect. And if you use that app, it's very easy to find out what's going on in the city through City Hall and contact information. And one of the things you can sign up for there is to be notified of developer-initiated meetings. And those meetings are required to be held when there's a planned development agreement. And they just had one recently about a project in Midtown, which was putting historic banners of historic people, honoring people on the new wall that they're going to build on, is that Lincoln Street? That runs up by the UPS store?
U-Haul.
U-Haul. And that's a good, that I don't think that has to come before you guys, but it would be good to know if you signed up for the DIMS, then you would know that that was happening. So I cannot urge you enough, please, if you're going to sit on this board and you want to be interested in what's happening, please sign up for those developer-initiated meetings. You can ignore the rest of the city. It's easy to hit delete, but occasionally something comes through from Midtown, and that sometimes is the first look, and it'll get to you before it gets to you here, sitting here. And you can certainly go to those meetings as a member of the board. So I urge you to please sign up for those, because it is the best kind of conduit you have right now. I look forward to more conduits opening up, but this is a good one for right now. Thank you.
Before I go to
Could
any
you repeat
questions,
the name of that app again?
DB,
DB City Connect.
Okay.
okay. Mr. Lewis.
Pierre Lewis, 130 South Franklin Street. Good evening to the chair, to the board, members that are here. It's good to see everybody back and everybody's safe. Just a couple of quick comments. For some reason, I know we were on the board. The CompStat report was broken out before, where it just did the Midtown area. Now it seems like now it's back where it's everybody. So I don't know what they did to fix that. They said they were going to change that again, but it seems like they haven't, or am I misspeaking on that?
To that,
Because now we're back to doing everybody, and it was broken up before.
the Florida Department of, what is it, FDLE, Florida Department of Law Enforcement. The software that they are requiring the police department to use for reporting crime is causing them difficulty in generating the Midtown-only report, and they're still working on trying to resolve it. The only offering that the captain made, Tansy Young mentioned that the FDLE reporting requirement, that software, is causing them problems generating just the Midtown portion. But the option that the captain suggested is focusing on the 43, 42, are those called districts or zones? Zones.
I remember.
And I don't know what they can do to speed it up, but they are aware. I've been talking with the, can't think of the girl's name off it, Elena, I believe is her name. Can't think of the girl who's actually working on the reports, but she's having difficulty just pulling the zones that are associated with Midtown.
I'm sure it's a tab delimited Excel of some sort, tab delimited report most of the time when they pull
We're
that
talking
down.
simple English.
Oh,
You're
yeah,
talking
I forgot. I'm an
technical
IT guy.
difficulties that don't
Yeah,
make it that easy.
Of course. Yes, of course. I'm an IT guy, you know that, so, yeah. Anyway, that was the one point, because I knew we had a report before that was just broken up. The other thing too, Mr. Chairs, I was glad to see Mr. Thomas and Ms. Tolliver talking finally about that hotel, because I know that's on the Midtown Master Plan. And it's also on the redevelopment, so I remember that. And it's supposed to be on that corner right where, across the street from where Checkers is at. That was the place, that's why they made that area, that's supposed to be that center. So that's where it's gonna go when they look at that. But it's good to see that in addition to the fact of the power lines and stuff like that, is stuff that's been in those places. So it's good to see that we're addressing some of those items that I know that are on that. And I know when you're goal setting, I mentioned it on that redevelopment, you got those 20 goals that are there. So we stick to some of those, then we wouldn't sort of be reaching out to say that. And then finally, when we try to put all that together, we'd see that some of the plans for the board are working towards some of those goals that have already been established. So they'd have to sort of recreate the wheel. I would think that would help out. In addition to that listing for the businesses that we've got, you're right, Mr. Collins, that's been out there. So I was glad to see that. I've got something that's starting up soon, and and it's called Wine and Wings. And the Wine and Wings is our new business mixer that's going to be in the Midtown area. We're going to be having that at the Midtown Cafe. We're setting a date. They were out for a little bit, but it's going to be coming up soon in the Midtown. So speaking to your point that Mr. Johnson did, it's a way to collectively get some of the economics in the face of people that needs to occur in the Midtown area. But again, I'm glad that the board is there, and most importantly, I'm glad to hear some people talking about those goals, Mr. Collins, and stuff that are in the Midtown Master Plan, and stuff that's on that Midtown, not the Master Plan, but the redevelopment plan too, because that's going to be the key. Otherwise, you've got members that are just be on the board, and you're saying, well, I thought we were going to talk about this. If we really, not that you have to read it, but if people read it, you should. It will really save you some time as far as plans. And you said that you knew, talking about how Midtown should be distributed and stuff like that. It's right there in there. And then my last note, I know I'm the odd man out when it comes to this, but I have to say this one point. The same type of apartment complex, that framework built on the Beach Street, I always say to myself, why didn't they build the same thing in Midtown? If Framework Group decided that those type of apartments were needed to uplift that particular area, my question I always say to myself, why didn't they build it in Midtown? And I know someone has mentioned to me before, says, Pierre, be quiet about that because that's a whole nother area. Well, you got 3 census tracts, 821, 819, and 820. Those are the ones that run in there. And if you look at the city's website, there's a list that says that if you go to the census tracts, we fill that out, you'll get 50 different things that are supposed to occur in that area as far as economic development. Well, the census tracts for 820, where that is built, where the opportunity zone is, if you look at the numbers, as I gave them to you before, it's very similar to the same census tract that's here. The reason what happened is, I believe, just my opinion, but fact, my opinion is because in that area, they're building that for new money. They're building that for new money and new revenue to come into that area. Unfortunately, sometimes in our area, we're building it for old money. And for money that's just passing through the area. They're building it for money to come in that area. I went by the riverfront just the other week. I was telling Mr. Johnson, guess what? It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous. I went walking on a little blue trail that was there. I went there in the night, and it was beautiful.
Lit up.
It was gorgeous. It was lit up, wasn't it? And then I went to One Daytona. It was lit up. It was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And then I came back to my old paper route. Came back to my old Cub Scout troop when I was there. And I thought to myself, what? Those words can't go into minutes. Yeah. But I thought to myself, but guess what? We have money. We have money. We have resources that's going through Midtown. My suggestion is that the money is still passing through us. Midtown is not a destination. Everybody passes through Midtown. So I commend the board to do that. Make Midtown a destination that people stop through and want to spend some money. We need capital. We need taxable entities in the area. Those light-tech properties that are built, that are affordable, whatever, they have pilot taxes. What is that? Payment in lieu of taxes. So they pay only an incremental amount of taxes. Whereas the building that they build over there, they pay a large amount of taxes. So what happens in return? Their taxable entities, their revenues go up. When we have the low-income properties, we build them here, ours go down. And then we wonder, where's the money at that people are going to spend in those businesses that go away? Because we didn't put people there that could spend money. Their disposable income is $45,000 a year. They're spending that $45,000 shipping, shopping, or whatever there. What do we do in the area? We didn't put people in the area that had that amount of disposable income.
At 18.
So by design, yes, sir. So by design, yes, sir. So we have to be constructive. Now, I know I can be a bit loquacious, but I'm just saying that by design, we have to restructure that design. We got analog thoughts out there in a digital world. Analog thoughts in a digital world. 2023, we need to focus on 2043 and beyond.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Your passion is definitely needed and appreciated. Any other business, any board comments? We'll start with Ms. Hardy.
I have no comments.
No comments. Ms. Magala?
Great meeting.
Thank you. Ms. Washington?
Excellent meeting. Glad to be back
Glad to have you back.
for the minute.
Right. Oh, okay. Was it some news you want to tell us or something?
I'm looking forward to moving back home.
I thought this was home.
I've been displaced since October.
Oh, I thought you meant like back to Washington, D.C. or something.
no.
Okay.
You local girl.
That's what I'm thinking. You got me confused and nervous. Okay. Mr. Thompson.
No, I just, these meetings keep getting better and better.
Yep.
And I just, I'm honored to be a part of a board of people who, you can see the passion is here.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm excited about what's yet to come.
Thank you, sir. We'll keep doing what you're doing. We'll get there. Ms. Bonner.
I agree. I think it was a very successful meeting. And Mr. Johnson, thank you so much for your presentation and being here tonight. And then Ms. Armstrong, we welcome you as well.
And I have no more comments other than what I've already said. Thank you, staff. Welcome aboard, Angela. And so you got another staff member or just the three of you all?
We're hiring one. We're taking applications now.
Okay. So I've already said you guys need some help. You got a big load to carry. So thank you all. Thanks, staff. Didn't hear anything from you tonight, Ben.
I corrected the record. At that point.
Yes, he did.
I stand corrected. I appreciate that. But thank you for doing excellent meetings. And you all, thanks for coming. And we are adjourned.